to the United States for her help had his heirloom vase back in his country estate where it belonged. She'd get the same results tonight, too. Glancing over her shoulder, she wired her phone into the system and waited for the code to pop up. When the 6-digit encryption lit her screen, she keyed it in. The green light flashed twice and she grinned. Easy as taking candy from a baby. Not that she did that. She had to draw a line somewhere. She entered the same digital password into the front door system. People always thought that it was safer to use these electronic locks. What they didn't realize was any hacker worth their salt could easily break in. And once they had the code, they could get anything they wanted. And she wanted that painting. She'd get it, too. Slowly, she opened the door, wincing when the hinges creaked. After shutting it behind her, she shoved her phone into her pocket and headed left toward the family room. According to her source, that's where the artwork would be. It was. The expensive piece hung over the fireplace in the opulent room. The muted hues of the meadow were more striking in their simplicity than she'd ever believed possible. She took a second to admire it. The piece of work had been completed in 1547 and had been in the royal family until the early 1900s. After that, it had mysteriously been sold to an unknown buyer. After years of obscurity, it had shown up deep inside the Vietolo mob. The head of the crime family had stolen it from a wealthy American CEO when the man refused to sell it to him. And she had every intention of returning it to him. She wished she could hang it over her fireplace for a little while. It would go nicely with her Monet. But this one wasn't for her. It was for her employer, and she wouldn't steal from a good person like him. It was against her code. Even thieves like her had rules. She took a step toward the framed piece, flexing her gloved fingers. When she was halfway across the room, the hair on the back of her neck stood up. A hushed footstep and a small shift in the air alerted her to the presence of another person. Someone was watching her. She tried to spin around as quickly as she could, but she was too late. Within seconds of her sensing another person in the room with her, she was pinned face first against the wall. The arms that closed around her were strong and solid, yet the man's grip was gentle. Something slammed across her mouth, effectively cutting off her cry and her breath, too. She kicked backward, desperate to strike out at her attacker in any way she could. But she didn't hit anything. If anything, the arms encircling her squeezed tighter. Jesus, who was this guy? The freaking Rock? Shh. Her captor pressed his cheek against her temple, his hot breath washing over her ear. For some reason, her body responded to his touch, as if she knew him already. What the hell? Don't move. I'm going to uncover your mouth, but if you make a sound, you're done. Understand? And that explained her body's reaction. She knew that voice. She would know it anywhere. Jake Forsythe, the man she'd had a crush on throughout her teenage years and then some. What was he doing here? Was he up to his old ways? No. Last she'd heard, he was in Iraq fighting the war against terror. Right before he left, they'd shared one glorious night together where they'd been this close to sealing the deal. But something held him back. He'd left her naked on her bed, and they hadn't spoken since. She didn't know he'd returned to the country, let alone Maine. If I let go, will you stay quiet? He asked, his voice raspy. Will you obey me? Obey him? That sounded oddly sexy coming from his lips, as if he was demanding she succumb to him in more ways than this. She shivered and nodded obediently.